Well, hey YouTube, I wanted to bring you all a tour of the Mustang now that I finally had a chance to get it all cleaned up and the weather's actually not scorching hot outside. So for those of you who didn't see my last video, this is my 2007 Ford Mustang GT Premium with a 5-speed manual transmission. It is finished in the Performance White exterior color. So we'll go ahead and hop on inside and start it up, let it run. Now, one thing that I have noticed on the Mustang is these door handles, both sides, don't fit completely back in to where they're supposed to go. You kind of have to push them back in. I'm not sure if that's a common issue. I'm planning on posting on the forums later on. But since this one is a 5-speed, this car does require, even if you are in neutral like I am now, it does require that you put your foot all the way in the clutch, key in the ignition, and twist to start. And of course, what you're hearing roar to life is Ford's fantastic 4.6 liter 3-valve modular V8 engine. So we'll go ahead and turn on the headlights, pull for fogs, hazards, and check out the exterior. It does have automatic up and down both driver's side and passenger side windows. So coming to the exterior of the Mustang, of course this one being the 2005 to 2009 generation, codenamed the S197 for those of you who aren't Mustang aficionados. Personally, I think this is one of the best, if not the best looking generation of the modern Mustang. For those of you who saw my 2006 GT Premium convertible review, you all know that I'm a really big fan of these and like them a whole lot. And that's why I went for one. But starting off with the front end, you can see you have your halogen headlamps on either side with your halogen fog lamps in the middle. I really like the fog lamps in the grille. It just gives it a really different look, very retro as well. You do have your orange turn signal markers on the side, either corner of the bumper. I'm not a huge fan of the orange. I do plan to order from American Muscle. They make some vinyl blackout stickers for these. I tried plasti dipping them and that just didn't go well, didn't like the way that looked at all. So peeled the plasti dip off and I'm just going to order those stickers. And those of you that are a more eagle-eyed viewer will probably note this little scratch right here and figured I'd go ahead and address that. That is where the previous owner's daughter-in-law backed into the car with her Lexus IS 250. No particular reason I said the car, just she didn't hit it very hard, just kind of took the paint off here and here. I could throw some touch-up paint on it, but I'm not that fantastic with touch-up paint, so I figured I'd just leave it for now. You do have your Mustang emblem right there in the center of the grille. It is chrome finished. Coming up to the hood, you do have a raised hood scoop that is non-functional. Not really sure why it's non-functional, but it is. That's how most Mustang GTs have been for a while, unfortunately. I'm not really sure why. And you do have your dual wiper nozzles right there. I wish they were body colored or mounted into the wiper arms, but no such luck. It's really not that big of a deal. I could plasti dip them white if I wanted to. Taking a look at the wheels on this one, we have 235/35 R17s wrapped in Pirelli P0 all seasons. This is the only new tire on the car. It's the same as all the others. The other three are the same ones that came on it from factory. The only reason this one's new is because the old one kept going flat for some reason, so he just replaced the tire. There is a little bit of curb rash right down there, you may have noticed, unfortunately. But these wheels aren't going to be on the car that much longer. If you saw in my last video, I'm going to order a set of 18-inch SVE drifts for the car and put some better tires on because these tires suck. You do have your GT badge right there where the 5.0 badge is on the newer models. Black plastic mirrors, they are fixed, they don't move. I need to hit these with a little bit of trim restore. They're starting to look a little sun faded. You can see the door handle doing the same thing on this side, so that makes me think it's more of a characteristic thing than anything. One modification that I have already done is I did not like the giant truck antenna that was on it. So I took the stock antenna, cut it down, and put the ball back on. It looks really good. It's completely and totally level with the roof line. I measured it out, and it's totally level, so I like that a lot. Just it looks a lot cleaner to me. And for some reason, and I stand corrected on the tire size, it is 235/55 R17s. But for some reason on both the rear wheels, the Ford logo in the center is missing. Not really sure why. Probably need to rotate the tires. I don't think that they have ever been rotated, and the back ones show significantly more wear than the front ones do, which makes me think that they have not been rotated. You do have your reflector signal markers right there. Coming around to the rear, this one has the spoiler delete kit for some reason. I don't quite understand why anybody would opt for the spoiler delete, but the previous owner did. He was a 69-year-old man. I guess just different strokes for different folks. So I have already ordered a little ducktail spoiler. I'll have it painted and put on the car. You do have your tri-bar tail lights in typical Mustang fashion, with your reverse lights down in the corner and the outer two blink as your turn signals. I do plan to order some different tail lights that make it look like the 2013 to 2014 Mustangs. Really like those tail lights. I have also ordered a gloss blackout panel for this piece right in here. I think that'll look really good and kind of offset the car. You do have your chrome Ford badge right here. This is the only place the exterior of this car says Ford, which is really interesting, except for like on lights and stuff, you'll see Ford emblems. And then you have your GT right there. If this were a V6, it would just be a pony in the middle. Coming up here, you do have what I believe is a Sirius satellite radio antenna, but I'm not 100% sure. And then you do have a tinted third brake light right there. Coming down, you have your license plate with a single light right there in the middle. Chrome polished dual exhaust outlets. I kind of wish this one didn't have the chrome dual exhaust, because the other option are a little bit bigger, but they're bare metal, so you kind of take, you win some, you lose some. Here's your fuel filler door right here. Boy, that was a mouthful apparently. No capless fuel filler system like the Fusion had, but this works just fine. It gets gas in the car. So we'll go ahead and open it up and take a look at the inside of the car. You do get a chime whenever the door opens. Get some air conditioning going because it is so hot out here. Like I said, automatic up and down driver's side and passenger window. Rolls up just like that. Go ahead and kill the headlights and the hazards. So coming around to the gauges, you can see they are just your standard Mustang gauges. Since this one's a premium, you have your battery voltage as well as your oil temperature. If it were not a premium, it would just have the fuel gauge and the engine temperature right up there, which is a little frustrating that you have to go to the premium to get that. And of course, when you do turn on your headlights, the gauges, I have them set to turn green. You can actually set them to go different colors, but I just chose green because it fits the rest of the interior lighting. The rest of all of this is green. Not my favorite color. I could change it if I wanted to, but probably not. Of course, here you have your turn signal controls and your wiper controls, and those are on either side of your 3-spoke leather wrap steering wheel with your cruise control and more cruise control controls over here. You have your Mustang emblem right there in the middle. Pretty loud horn, sounds a little wimpy though. Since this one is a premium, it does have the leather steering wheel and the satin aluminum trim on the steering wheel. That is a premium thing. One thing that this one a couple things that this one has that not many others do is the satin aluminum trim on the dashboard right here and the leather stitch dashboard. I have personally never seen a leather stitch dashboard on these, but this is a first for me. One of the selling points was not to have that hard black plastic, and I really like this a lot. It makes it look much nicer. This is where the previous owner had his radar detector mounted up. He's got a kit run right there, and I thought it would work with mine, but it didn't. So I don't really know how to get this off without making a huge mess of a lot of things. So if any of you have any ideas, it's just really, really old and sticky adhesive. You can see it right there. If any of you have any ideas, please feel free to let me know. I'd greatly appreciate them. Coming to the center stack, you have your information system controls right here. This is how you control the color of the gauges, flip through fuel economy, stuff like that. As far as fuel economy goes, I'm getting about 17 or so in town, maybe a little less. 16.5 more is probably more like it. And then on the highway, it'll do about 23 to 24 at highway speeds, which is pretty good, considering that this one is a big burly V8. Traction control right there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe some of these did not come with traction control, but that was one of the must-haves for me. I know these live axle Mustangs are pretty lively in the rear end, and this one definitely is, and traction control has already saved me in the rain more than once. And you have your passenger airbag sensor right there. This one does have the Shaker 500 stereo in it. Really good stereo. It could use a tiny bit more bass punch. They did offer the Shaker 1000, but I didn't go with the 1000, or I didn't really want the 1000 to begin with, because in the trunk it gives you two 10-inch subwoofers on the right side and intrudes in trunk space quite a bit. Stereo sounds really good. I would demonstrate it, but I don't want to deal with copyright issues. Just take my word for it. You have your 6 presets right here. It is a 6 CD changer as well, with your auxiliary line in right there. Here you have your basic climate controls. Air conditioning works really well. Temperature and your different zones, and your off is right there. That's taken a little bit of getting used to, as opposed to just hitting an off button. I have to go to the zone switch and turn it all the way up. You have your AC compressor, rear defrost, and your recirculation right there. When it's on max air conditioning, you can't turn recirculate off. It's always on. Another feature that this one has that not many of them do is the satin aluminum shift knob, which is both a blessing and a curse, because this thing gets extremely, extremely hot in the summertime, in the sunshine. It's just, it'll burn your hand. I have to keep towels in here to keep on it if I'm going to be using it right after it's been sitting in the sun. But it is a 5-speed, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and reverse. We'll go over more of the transmission characteristics whenever we take it on a test drive. This one is a gray interior with black leather. Coming around to your materials, of course you have the leather stitch on the dashboard. It's just leather covering hard plastic, so it's not really padded. You have your aluminum trim right up here. I believe this is real aluminum, because it kind of changes with the temperature, but it could just be a piece of plastic, I don't know. Airbag cover right here. I believe this splits open like that if the airbag were to ever deploy. Of course, coming down here you have harder, cheaper plastics, but they all sound really solid. They just don't feel as fantastic to touch. Coming to the glove box, you do have plenty of storage in there. I've just got random crap thrown around in there right now. You have your speaker down there, a speaker up here, power door locks, your satin aluminum plastic door handle. One thing that I'm not a huge fan of on this one, that I am a fan of, but at the same time I'm starting to not be, is this trim here on the door. Every single S197 Mustang from 05 to 09 that I've been in has these starting to recede, and you can see the glue oozing out right around the edge, right up there. You can see that right there. This panel isn't receding yet, but the driver's side is getting a little bit loose. You can see how it's just starting to recede. I'll just have that reupholstered eventually. I can even do it myself, I don't know. As far as this stuff goes on the window switch, I believe that's leftover goo from whenever the previous owner had the windows tinted. Coming around to the door panel though, you do have hard plastics up here. Not a huge fan of that. I wish this were padded, and I actually really wish this were padded because I like to put my elbow up here sometimes as opposed to down here. This is padded. It's stitched vinyl right here, which is nice, but I wish they would have carried a soft material up here. Coming down here, you do have a small amount of door pocket storage, not a whole lot. There's just not a whole lot of room to put things in this car. Moving on to the center console, it's all one giant piece of black plastic except for the silver trim around the shifter. One thing that I really don't like about this car is the cup holder placement. I know they didn't really have much choice, but if you have a big drink or even like a bottle of water in the cup holders, that makes shifting really weird. It's just really strange. I have my iPod thrown in here right now. They are very good cup holders. They're nice and deep and can fit big American-sized drinks. But it's just kind of a design flaw that really couldn't be helped. You do have a leather stitched center console though. I mean, it is semi-padded. Just push in on a little tab in here to open it, and I have more random crap in there. Phone charger, auxiliary line in. There is a little coin storage area right there. Probably need to organize my change in there actually. I've got my little GPS in there too, since this does not have navigation. Having that has proved to be useful. Seats, black leather, like I said. It's made to look perforated, but it's really not if you get close. You can see that the perforations don't actually go through, but it is stitched. You do have your top stitching right here. I like that a lot. The seats are really comfortable too. They just need a good coat of leather conditioner because these are starting to get a little hard. But very comfortable seating. You have your adjustable headrest right there. Really comfortable. Coming up to the headliner, it is really, really soft, very plush. You have your interior lighting right here, which is functional. I'll probably order the Diode Dynamics LED kit. I have my gate opener up here. Coming to your sun visors, these do feel a little on the cheap side. They're just like a thin piece of board of some sort wrapped in some semi-padded cloth. No vanity lights on either of them, but they do swing out like this, but they don't extend. So that was a little area where Ford could have stepped it up a little bit. But overall, the interior of this car is put together really well. This gap doesn't really line up that well, but I mean, it's an 8-year-old American car. I'm really nitpicking when I'm talking about stuff like this. Overall, I absolutely love it, as you all know from my last video. So we'll go ahead and take a look under the hood and in the trunk. There are one of two ways to open the trunk on this car. You can either use the key blade, or you can push the blue button on the key fob. The car does have to be in neutral to do that, however, and it has to be stopped. And to open the hood, all you need to do is just pull on this right here. Also, one thing that's nice is you do have your metal Mustang door entry guards. Go ahead and close the door there. And opening the hood on this car took me a little bit of getting used to. Finding the latch is kind of hard. You have to hold your hand down to do it, but doing this one-handed is really tricky. The hood is pretty heavy also. But what you're seeing is Ford's 4.6 liter 3-valve V8. A lot of people hate on the 3 valves because some people claim that they're heavier. Well, they are heavier than the 2 valves in like the 2004 Mustangs. But I like the 3-valve. It's a good solid motor. It's plenty for me. This one does have the little engine cover there. That was an optional extra. There's where the hood scoop clips in, even though it's non-functional. All stock up under here except for a K&N drop-in filter. Didn't really want to do a cold air intake on this one because that means you have to tune it, and I just didn't want to tune it yet. That's not really where I'm headed with this car. I'm trying to do visual stuff right now. And here in the really dirty trunk, we've had some like plants and stuff in here. I do have my jumper cables right there. The trunk is kind of strangely shaped, but the rear seats do fold down, and that does help. But you heard me talking about the shaker stereo system earlier, and the 10-inch subs go right over here, which is, they're nice to have, but at the same time they're also kind of a pain in the butt too, because it really cuts into your trunk space. There's a big gap. Lifting this cover up, there's no really good place to pull from. It's just kind of a pain. But you do have your donut spare tire right there, and you do have all your tools to change it up under there. I haven't even taken this out yet. Overall, pretty good storage space for a muscle car, but it's not the greatest. So let's go ahead and get some cameras set up, and we'll take it for a test drive. Alright guys, so now that we've got some cameras set up, we'll go ahead and get started with the test drive portion of the video. And I've made myself a list, so if you see me looking down at something, I'm not texting and driving or anything like that. I was just wanting to have myself a gathered list so I wouldn't ramble quite as much, so we'll see how that works. So we'll start off with things that you first notice whenever you get in the Mustang. And first thing you notice before you start driving is how comfortable everything is in here. The seats are super comfortable. I wouldn't say they're quite as comfortable or supportive as those that were in the Fusion, but this is also an 8-year-old car, so it's hard to nitpick on the seats, really. Everything in here just feels very ergonomically right. Like, all the controls fall right where you think they would be. Turn signal, your hand just falls down on them. Wipers, same. Window switches are right in easy reach. All your radio controls are very easy to reach. Your HVAC controls as well. Everything's just really, really easy to reach in here. And the seating position and driving position are both really good. The steering wheel, I know it doesn't telescope, but it's really not that much of an issue. It is a farther reach than it was in the Fusion, but I don't really notice that much difference. I mean, I know I have to reach a little farther for the wheel, but it's really not bad. And I wouldn't say that it's a problem at all. Next thing you notice is visibility in here. Super easy to see out of this car, especially for more of a low-slung coupe. I'm not gonna call this a low-slung sports car, because Mustangs just straight up aren't sports cars. They are muscle cars in every sense of the word. And that's not a bad thing at all. I think it fits me very well. I just really like the car. Once we get further away here, we'll kind of get on it, but we'll do a little pull here. And that was a pull at about a quarter to half throttle to 55. So it sounds really good. I'll get on it here in a little while, and you'll hear the sound a lot more. But I'll go ahead and start with what I do like about this car, and I do like a whole lot about it, so just bear with me. The looks of this car in particular, there are some things that I'm not a huge fan of, but I'll touch on those as I get close, or as I get to the part of the video where I touch on that stuff. But I really like the way this car looks, especially in white. Again, for those of you who know me and you saw my 06 GT convertible review, you know I absolutely love these Mustangs. I actually tried to purchase that 06 Mustang GT whenever I filmed it, but it just didn't work out. And now I'm really glad it didn't, because I have this. The looks of this car, I love. I think I like the coupe especially more than the convertible. I like the convertible more when the top's down, but when the top is up, it just looks a little funny to me. So this one in white, Really, really like it. I also am a pretty big fan of the chrome polished exhaust tips out back. I wish they were a little bigger, like I said earlier, but they're really not that big of a deal. You win some, you lose some, I guess. As far as the sound goes, it's so good. This car sounds so good. I couldn't be happier with the way this thing sounds. The exhaust is a little bit quiet for me, but the sound is really good. So I'm gonna eventually do like a Bassani on it. Bassani makes really, really good exhaust stuff. Absolutely love their stuff. But it is expensive, so that'll be later on down the line as time passes. We'll see about that. Intake, like I said, the induction sounds really good, especially now that I've put the K&N drop-in in it. Yeah, you can certainly hear a good induction sound out of this car. Sounds really good. But I don't really want to do a cold air intake on it because I'm not a huge fan of having to put a tune on it right away. Maybe on down the road I'll do that, but not yet. I already told you visibility in this car is really good. Touched on the comfort as well. Just a super comfortable car as far as the ride quality goes too. It rides really, really, really well. It's very good and smooth ride, very composed. You can certainly tell this one's a live axle car. The rear end does get a little bouncy at times, but it's nothing unbearable. And the front end is very softly sprung. I'd almost go as far as to say it's a little too soft sometimes. I may put some lowering springs on it eventually to fix that. I really like that this car is rear-wheel drive. I was so over front-wheel drive, torque steer. I know that sounds really complainy and whiny, but alright, so we'll do a little acceleration run right here. What do y'all think? Friends and family, that was run to 0, well, probably like 15 or so, probably do about 80, somewhere in there. And as you can hear, this car has no trouble breaking the tires loose, especially these tires. That brings me on to my next point that I like about this car. I love this motor, love the power delivery, love the sound. It's just so freaking fun. I never get tired of doing that. This car just makes me smile so much. It never fails to put a smile on my face. Even when I'm in a bad mood, I just go drive this car and it just makes life better. It's just such a phenomenal car. I'm so in love. I'm done being gushy for now. Love that it's rear-wheel drive, as I was saying before I got all soppy there. I was tired of feeling like I was being pushed along or pulled along, and I love being pushed along. Also, as far as practicality goes, this car is really practical for a two-door muscle car. It's got a fair amount of storage space. The trunk's pretty big. By far and away, I would say that the Challenger is the best as far as practicality goes, but it's just a much bigger car. Why not one more acceleration run? Just for the heck of it. Woo! Whoa, it really broke the rear end loose on the first to second shift that time. So as you can tell, these tires suck. like I said earlier, these are the same tires that came on it from factory, and they suck. They're so bad. They're starting to dry rot. They're hard as a rock. Traction, especially if the roads are wet, there's just not much of it. It makes things fun, but it also makes things a little scary when it's raining. That was totally manageable though. And that's another thing I like about this car, is it's just so manageable. It's not a car that's always trying to get out from under me and grab me by the scruff of the neck and show me who's boss. I thought it would be really twitchy in the rear end, but it's really not. Of course, I haven't had much experience driving decently powered rear-wheel drive cars. Driving them hard anyway. We had the Jag, and it was fairly planted. It was just on crap tires. But this is the first car that I've really had the opportunity to drive that's like, well, it's fairly high powered and fairly lively in the rear end, shall we say. Yes, it is lively, but it's not bad. Like, it's totally manageable. It corrects itself pretty easily. Traction control is a nice thing to have. But it's just a very manageable car. Very easy to daily drive. I wouldn't go back on my decision at all. I adore this car, as you all know. Another thing I like is how usable the rear seat is in this car. I've had 4 people in here, including me, and it holds them just fine. Yeah, it's tight, but as far as 2-door cars go, this is one of the more comfortable rear seats. So it's not bad. I really like the shifter feel on this one too. And I know I'm saying a lot, just bear with me. It's just what it is. The shifter feels really good. It's nice and notchy. You always know what gear you're in. The shifter, I mean, there is a little bit of play, but it's not bad. But it's really an easy manual to drive. But now that I've covered, or just barely touched on all the things that I like about this car, I'll go over some of the things that I'm not as big of a fan of. I don't like these cup holders and where they're placed. And I said earlier, it's just a design flaw. It couldn't be helped. I mean, it could have been helped, but once the cars were produced, they were produced, and it is what it is. It makes shifting really weird whenever you have a cup in the cup holder. Even just like a small bottle of water, you just kind of have to reach up, and it's just weird. The clutch engagement point is really high on this car. And it's not as much of a complaint now as it was then. And all of these, I'm not really complaining. I don't want you to think, oh my god, this kid is so spoiled, like, what, he has this nice new Mustang with 30,000 miles, blah, 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 blah. These are just observations about the car that I'm making that I would change if I could, but because they can't be changed, I'm okay with it. It's not that big of a deal. But the clutch engagement point is pretty high. It took me some getting used to. I learned on cars that had very low engagement points in the clutch. I'm used to this one now for the most part and don't really have that much trouble with it. But it's just an observation. Another thing about this car that I am planning on changing is the small wheels. I know Mustangs have wheel gap for days. That's just how they are. I may put some lowering springs on it eventually, but the 17s on this one, they just don't feel out the wheel well that much. So I am planning on putting the 18-inch SVE drifts on, as you heard me say. That'll probably come around Christmas time. And no spoiler. I don't know why you would do a spoiler delete on the GT. It makes the rear end look like a V6. But again, I've already got a spoiler ordered. It's on its way. I have to get it painted and then just put it on. Not that hard. And it was all the 2 parts that I've ordered so far have been really cheap too. So it's not that bad. The trunk is a little oddly shaped. I wish that was a little bit better designed, but it's not, so whatever. It kind of goes up towards the back of it, which is weird. Makes things a little awkward, but it's not that big of a deal. The door panel's receding. I touched on that earlier when I was doing the tour part of the video, which really isn't that big of a deal. Fairly easy fix. I could probably do it myself. I wouldn't hesitate to try when I had the time. The interior materials are a little on the cheaper side. They're not bad, but they're just not great. And everything feels really solid. They're just hard to the touch and not all that pleasant to touch. So, I mean, that is what it is. Not that big of a deal. Not really a complaint, just an observation. I don't quite know what's going on here at the gate, besides a Sequoia about to get its front end taken off by the gate. No steering wheel controls. I'm not a huge fan of no steering wheel controls, but again, this car feels very ergonomically right. Really easy controls to use. Your hand just falls straight into place where you'd expect things to be. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I really hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I've certainly enjoyed making it, as you can tell. But anyways, thank you all for watching. We'll catch you next time. Anything you'd like to see on the Mustang, comments, questions, suggestions, whatever, feel free to leave them in the comments box below, and I will do my best to get back with you. So anyways, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.